that's what you meant. The timing was, oh, you just spoke to NES.
Yeah, I was just there and I was like,
Come
oh
up
gosh.
to CPS,
You know
say the same thing.
Tracy, the presentation is actually PDF, so you just kind of need to scroll. I'll have it ready for you, but all right. Give me 1 second, Pauline, and then.
Yeah, no worries.
Come on.
That's why you're signed.
How are you? You look well. You had a good time in Florida? Yeah. I love the photos.
I want to live there. How can I figure out to work, leave home, and live here? Make a living down here.
Yeah.
I love the weather. I love hot weather.
Yeah, I do too. I was away and I met 3 people where we were staying, and they're all working remote. So one was from New York, 2 were from Boston, and they all live in Puerto Rico. I'm like, you got that right.
I'm like, I need to think of something nice. I said, I know, but maybe I've been warming up for 6 months.
Yeah, you could come and visit. That's funny. Are we good?
Almost.
All right.
Almost like
Charlie up there. Oh, hi. Will you just, could you give us a few minutes, or can you give us, you're ready? Okay.
Here we go.
Okay, then, let's go. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the school committee meeting of March 5th, 2024. In front of you, you have an agenda. May I have an approval?
Second.
All in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Welcome, everybody, on this cold evening. We'll start off with public comment. Seeing no public comment, we will move straight on to the superintendent's report.
Okay, I'm going to start with enrollment and then move on to the AASA conference update. Our enrollment today is down by 2 students from last month. We are at 1,707 students, and that's down from 1,709 last month. We have 1 fewer student at NES, no change at NIS and CPS, and 1 fewer student at the high school. So we're in a period of staying steady. So hopefully that will continue for the rest of the year. We'll see. The AASA conference is next. I attended the American Association of School Administrators National Convention on Education on February 15th, 16th, and 17th in San Diego. And this year's theme was Here for the Kids. And I have the program here. I'm happy to share with you all. So I'll start with Tim and then we can pass it around. There were definitely some excellent sessions and roundtables that I got to attend, and some really great keynote speakers. So I'll give you just kind of a little snippet of a couple that really stood out to me. On Thursday, I attended a session called Achieving Equity in Planning Programs for Multilingual Learners, where superintendents from 3 different California districts talked about their blueprint for success in equitable services for multilingual students. The takeaway was accountability. And that is, do teachers feel accountable for the success of their multilingual students? Do they accept these students as having potential for success in the same way that they do for their English-speaking students? And do they see their own responsibility in championing their multilingual students' assets? That really kind of struck with me because we often talk about English learners as having deficits. They cannot learn, they do not know the language. It is hard for them to do. To reach the standards, but we need to look at it in a different way with really a focus on assets as opposed to deficits. So that was really helpful in kind of framing and thinking about how we need to change the mindset. I also attended a session about equity in behavior prevention and response, which outlined the importance of taking the subjectivity out of discipline and having very clearly defined violations with specific consequences. So this will help to reduce those inequitable outcomes for students. Important is to consider that by taking out the subjectivity, teachers themselves don't have to determine things. It's clearly outlined. And the district that provided this session was from Iowa, and they had a very, very detailed matrix of exactly what kind of violations there were, whether they were minor, whether they were minor, major, or severe. And in being able to say this fits directly into this, like if you have a violation which is inappropriate language, that's pretty broad. If instead you drill down to inappropriate language that was targeting a student race, or inappropriate language focusing on this, by having those very specific violations and specific consequence, it takes out the personal part of it. The violation was happened, and the consequence is this, and there's no room for subjectivity. So I think this is really interesting, and I'd like to bring this to principals and APs to see if it's something that we might want to look at in how we deal with discipline. So I think it could be an interesting change. I attended a session on Thursday, not a session, but the keynote speaker on Thursday was a gentleman named Abran Maldonado, who was a tech entrepreneur who gave us the lowdown on artificial intelligence and the importance of embracing it rather than fighting it, because there is no stopping it. And one of the things that really amazed us was how we are at the point now where AI can create a full translation of language with a visual image of the person that looks like they are speaking that language. He gave us an example because he was going to Rome to do a session with educators, Italian educators, and so he sent a message to them through an AI-generated platform where he is speaking Italian. He doesn't know a word of Italian, but he's speaking Italian. The AI was able to find the timbre of his voice and recreate it in Italian in a full presentation of 5 minutes, basically, in Italian, with his lips moving at the exact time. And I understand Italian, so I'm watching this going, oh my goodness, this is incredible. So we're going to see how this is going to play out in schools. We are seeing that it is starting to play out already with phone calls. You've heard AI-generated phone calls are coming through, scam calls, things like that. But there's no stopping AI at this point. So we really need to focus on on how to harness it and how to use it as a tool. So it was pretty fascinating. And so we'll see where it goes. Friday was excellent. There was a general session on school safety and a keynote by Michelle Gay, who is one of the parents who lost their child in the Sandy Hook elementary school shooting. Very emotional, very, very emotional. But it was something that, as a superintendent here in Massachusetts in a small district where we feel quite safe here, it really hit home how many superintendents and school leaders are dealing with violence, dealing with gun violence, but other types of violence in their districts. And that's a newer thing. And so AASA shared also that they have created a recovery group for superintendents who have gone through school shootings, because superintendents and leaders are struggling with the fact that it happened to them and in their district. So it's really fascinating, and certainly an area that we are trying to improve upon. In fact, we've done a lot with school safety this year, thanks to Mellisa Devitt, who has a background as a former chief emergency officer in her previous district. So she's really kind of helped us, along with Chip Clooney. We've kind of put things together, and we're really moving forward in making sure we're up to speed with that. But this keynote certainly affected me quite a bit to think about, we really need to make sure our students are always safe, and they can come to school knowing that they're safe. So I attended a superintendent roundtable on adaptive leadership and another session that focused on dismantling beliefs around what students can and cannot learn. With so many teachers who don't believe in the capacity of our students to excel, we have to make sure that teachers and students are given the right tools and appropriate instruction and support. And teachers have to believe collectively that they can positively influence student growth and achievement. Saturday was really uplifting. The first session I attended on Saturday was called The Happiness Factor. And there is empirical evidence that creating a culture of positivity among staff, but also among students, has a direct impact on productivity, achievement, and improvement. And there were some superintendents from districts that are at the very bottom in their state, and they have seen huge increases in actual test scores because of the positivity that is in the district among the staff, among the students, and this whole idea of people feeling that they can be more, if people feel comfortable and safe and confident, they are willing to take more risks. So with that, there's more encouragement and a different type of approach to students rather than saying, here we go again, we're at the bottom of the state testing scores, saying, we got this, we can do this, we're gonna try to move it by 1 point or a quarter of a point or something. And seeing that growth was really a testament to the importance of happiness. Interesting, the biggest quote that resonated with me in this presentation was that the most detrimental threat to education today is negative adults working with students. I thought that was fascinating. And finally, the closing keynote was all about the Pittsburgh principles. And if you've heard what this is, these are the quiet teachings of Mr. Fred Rogers. So it was a lot about returning to the joy and wonder that teaching brings every day, and how to cultivate that in our students, and how to cultivate that in the adults that work with the students. So I thank you for supporting this opportunity for me to go and learn and collaborate with other district leaders around the country. It's a really special time. You learn a lot from a lot of people, and it's a sense of collective support and camaraderie. So thank you very much for that. So I'm happy to entertain any questions, and if you want to see the program and anything that was in there, feel free. So.
Tim? No.
I have no questions.
Bruna?
No questions.
I do.
Sure.
I'm curious whether they teased out, I think it's easy for us to hear the report about schools and teachers feeling or staff feeling accepted or included or appreciated in order for them to feel like they can give their best for the students. But I'm wondering if the speakers provided some of either activities or things that they put in place.
Yeah,
and
there's a whole program.
Are there initiatives that we can take, and do you have a good sense, or do our principals have a good sense on how our staff is generally feeling?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do we know where we are on that scale? Do we have the majority feeling down here, or do we feel, that would be an important thing to know to then take some of these these activities.
So we are going to be, within the next few weeks, we're going to be issuing our MTSS surveys, which is about belongingness. And we did that last year and presented on it, and this is going to be an annual piece. This
For
is
staff?
for everybody. It's parents, staff, students, and
Okay.
administrators, everybody. So that will give us the dipstick to understand where people are this year. Things change year to year. Things change month to month. So it all depends on the mindset of the people taking the survey. It will help us to understand where we could potentially grow. The whole happiness factor thing, there is a whole program it came from Stephen Aker. Is it Stephen Aker or Sean Aker? Who has a class at Harvard on happiness and the importance of productivity. And if you're in a company where there's a wonderful culture and people are happy and feel that they're well treated and that they're respected and their voice is heard, that they are so much more productive and there's so much more growth. So how can schools tap into that? And so he has a program for elementary called the Orange Frog. And so I have all sorts of stuff that I can share with people about that, and I'm certainly going to bring it to the principals. I haven't had a chance to meet with principals or APs yet in our regular monthly meetings, but Tuesday next week we have that meeting, and it'll be good to start talking about that with everybody.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
That's
good
great.
stuff, really good
Yeah.
stuff. So, anything else?
No,
Okay.
thank you.
So I just have one other thing, and then I'm going to turn this over to our Assistant Athletic Director, Matt Hunt, who's going to give us a overview of the winter sports season. But I wanted to send a special congratulations to the senior Anna Popniklova, I can never pronounce her name correctly, sorry Anna, on moving to the state finals for the annual Poetry Out Loud competition in Massachusetts. Anna recited 2 poetry selections and wowed the judges who promoted her to the finals that will be held in Boston at the State House on Sunday, March 10th.
That's fabulous.
Yes, which
Oh,
is great for her.
congratulations, Anna.
So, all right, so I'll turn this over to Matt. Come on up.
I can't look at this right now. We go.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, school committee, for having our athletic department and listening to our update. Again, I'm Matt Hunt. I'm the assistant athletic director. Travis Lombardi is traveling. Our boys basketball team was playing in a playoff game today out in Monument Mountain. So he typed up a little thing for me, so I'll just read his words. Sorry I can't be with you all tonight. Our boys basketball team is playing in a round of 16 tournament game at Monument Mountain High School in Great Barrington, Mass. It's a long haul from Hyannis, that's for sure, just under 200 miles one way. As we reflect on this past winter sports season, it's with whaler pride that we present an overview of the accomplishments and progress made by our student athletes in basketball, hockey, swimming and diving, and indoor track and field. Obviously, some are still playing at this time, but we'll give you a quick overview of each sport. Girls hockey. Despite facing challenges with regards to wins and losses, our girls hockey team exhibited tremendous amounts of improvement under the guidance of first-year coach Andy McNeely. While the season presented its share of hurdles, the team's resilience and dedication is lining up for a promising future. Looking ahead, Coach McNeely is determined to steer the team back on course with an independent schedule next year, which will allow for more competitive games in the hopes of creating continued growth and success. Girls basketball. This season marked a significant turnaround for our girls basketball team. Showcasing substantial improvement from the previous year, the girls qualified for the state tournament after not qualifying for the last few years. They finished the regular season with a record of 12-8, although their season ended in the first round of playoffs against Uxbridge High School. Their remarkable progress throughout the season solidified their determination and potential for continued success over the next few years. Indoor track and field. This 2023-2024 season was indoor track and field's inaugural season as a varsity sport. They competed in multiple league meets at Wheaton College, where our athletes showed immense talent and promise for the future of the program. In the first season, we saw 2 athletes qualify for and compete at this year's state meet at the Reggie Lewis Center in Boston. We would love to give a huge shout out to Nantucket High School guidance counselor Chris Mimick for his work and determination to both introducing this program and working it to a varsity level and continuing to run with this in hopes of introducing a varsity level outdoor track and field team. Swimming and diving. Once again, our swimming and diving program demonstrated continued success this season, guided by the leadership of first-year head coach Dylan Jones. The girls' swimming team secured yet another league title and excelled at both sectionals and state meets. They reaffirmed their reputation around the state as one of the stronger programs in D2, or Division II, sorry. The boys' numbers were low, but they still had an amazing season and competed at a high level throughout their entire season. The boys finished 24th at the sectional meet and 20th at the state meet. Girls finished 10th at the sectional meet and 14th at the state meet. Individually, both boys and girls had impressive results at the state level, with many finishes in the top 10. For boys basketball, as of this update, our boys are continuing to compete in the MIAA state tournament, currently in the round of 16, as we mentioned earlier in the update. With a challenging schedule, the team has navigated through a competitive season and were able to finish the regular season with an 11-9 record and earn the 14 seed in the Division IV state tournament. The season may have been highlighted by them playing and beating Martha's Vineyard in the Andrew Lawson Foundation Invitational at the TD Garden back in January. This was an experience we'll all remember for the rest of our lives. Boys hockey. The boys hockey team has had a remarkable season up to this point. In the season, they're still playing in the state tournament. This team, especially this group of seniors, is a special group, and they've been playing together since they were very young. They understand what it means to be a team and all that comes with that. They've had to fight through some adversity this season and have powered through that to the best of their abilities. We wish them nothing but the best as they prepare for their round of 8 game versus Stoneham High School tomorrow at 3:15 at Gallo Arena. Middle school boys and girls basketball. Both CPS boys and girls basketball teams had impressive seasons. The CPS boys A team won the Cape Cod Youth Basketball League Championship, and the girls A team went undefeated in their schedule. Both B teams had great seasons with huge emphasis on teaching and improving basketball skills and knowledge. Big things are coming for the future of our high school basketball programs. In conclusion, the winter sports season has been a testament to hard work, perseverance, and talent of our student athletes and coaches. As student athletes of our school, they have shown us the values of sportsmanship, dedication, and resilience, all while bringing Whaler pride to our community. Lastly, we want to wish the boys basketball team and boys hockey team, who are both still participating in the state tournament, the best of luck. On behalf of the athletic department, we would like to congratulate all teams and coaches on their achievements and look forward to their continued success in the seasons to come. Thank you for your continued support of our athletic programs.
Thank you, Matt.
Anybody have any questions?
When was the game in Great Barrington, and why did we end up in Great Barrington?
The
I
game.
can't imagine any place further.
Yeah. The only one that I could say that is close to it is our boys soccer team 2 years ago played at Wacona, and it's about 10 miles away from Great Barrington.
Farther away.
Yeah. So just with the reformat of the state tournament, getting rid of the South, North, Central, and West conferences, or sectionals, I should say, they moved it to more of a statewide format. So it really gives you a true feel of the top teams in the state. And given that we were the 14th seed and they're the 3rd seed, it just kind of is how it fell in the bracket. That's where we had to head to.
I don't see the Boston schools taking 200-mile bus trips.
They definitely do take some trips out west, but definitely nothing close to what we have to do. But it's all part of the island, and we enjoy the challenge of it. So
When are they going to get back?
tomorrow morning, they're on the 9:05 tomorrow morning, approved by Miss Vasil.
If I may, I know that Great Barrington came to us last year.
Yep,
So they did
they
also
did come
have
here
to
to-
travel
for
their
volleyball.
200 miles. Yes, not last year, but in
Yep.
the season, yeah. So we
They
hosted
stayed.
them as well.
Yep. So this is just a little revenge.
Any questions?
No questions.
No? Thank you. Bruna?
No questions. Thank
No.
you.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, guys.
We're good? Okay. Is Tracy going to
Yeah.
do the, okay. I'd like to ask Tracy Mailloux to come up and join us, please, to do the dropout rate report. Hey, Tracy.
Hi, how are you?
Thanks.
Mandy, as you know, is sick, but she prepared the dropout report, and it's pretty straightforward. Couple highlights in the midst of what seems like a negative piece of information. Last year, we had, by June, we had 582 active students at the high school. There were 6 reported dropouts, which is just over 1% of our total school population. Something to note, though, is that one of our dropouts that's recorded because it is last year's data has re-enrolled this year and is on track to graduate in June. So we're kind of like, even though the data from last year says 6, our mind says 5. There's a breakdown there of subcategories that the students were in. Interesting to note at the bottom, when we broke it out by ethnicity, 4 of the 6 students were white, which is interesting. Over the last 10 years, we are since 2020 to 2021, or sorry, 2019 to 2020, we have been decreasing the number of dropouts, which is a positive. But due to those dropout numbers, things that have happened are things that are still being implemented today. We've added a new L teacher to reduce class sizes based on previous year's data. Our SEI coach is partnering with teachers to co-teach and co-plan content lessons. Now that we have an L director this year, we've started doing co-observations and walkthroughs to look for SEI strategies across content areas, not just so that when kids who are not specifically in their ESL class, they're still able to access the content being taught. We have an EL supported course in social studies. We added a new ELA course that's currently running right now for newcomer and emerging ELs. And there's a developing curriculum for conceptual science that's physics based for a newcomer class to move on. When we go back to the breakdown, you can see that those things, as they have been put in place, seem to indicate that that focus is making a positive impact. And then we'll take this data and continue with what we've implemented this year and go on. Additionally, our kids have access to Accelerate Academy for multilingual learners, so newcomers that come in, as Beth mentioned in her superintendent comments, that we have kids with assets. It's not a deficit to not know English, and it takes what kids know in their native languages, and they're able to get credit for schooling that they've had previously if they pass the Accelerate Academy courses. Our kids also have access to APEX, so kids that are on the line, we can have opportunities for them to have credit recovery classes that they can take during the school year or over the summer. That keeps them engaged and seeing the prize of they're going to make it to graduation. And we also have implemented this year through collaboration with Deb Gately, our special ed teachers are co-teaching content classes, which they have in the past, but there's been between turnover and just training that it is, people think you can throw two people together and it's just going to work, and it doesn't. There is training and strategy involved. So those are some of the things that are going on in classrooms to help us keep our numbers of dropouts down and keep kids engaged. Planning for the future includes professional development to make sure that implementation of sheltered English immersion strategies are consistent across content, and making sure that all of our teachers get that SEI endorsement. We're going to have some upcoming parent information nights that will be planned where materials will be translated and interpretation available, because we see that parent engagement and family engagement is critical to keeping our kids in school. Partnering with the community school to refer students to complete a GED for those that, for whatever reason, were not able to physically keep back in the building. Adding more foundation courses for the core content areas so that those gaps can be accelerated more quickly. Curriculum planning for SLIFE students. Now, we've been working with Barbara Cohen, and this has become a topic of conversation so that those kids with interrupted schooling over the course of their own short lives, that's a different approach that needs to be worked on. And the request for the bilingual district clinician to support L students who have faced trauma. So in addition to, we have people in Deb Gately's special ed department that can test kids in Spanish if they have a special ed referral, but we're also looking for more social emotional based support.
That's great.
Pretty straightforward, that one.
Tim?
Tracy, what grades were they dropping out of? Do we have that? Was it all 12th graders that saw they weren't going to graduate, or?
Don't have that in front of me, but just anecdotally, what I see now, junior year tends to be a big year where kids are either like their eyes are on the prize and they want to do everything they can to make it, or it just looks like this insurmountable mountain that they can't get through. So based on my short time at the high school, it looks like it's juniors rising seniors where that happens.
Are these kids that have come in late middle school, high school, and are sort of doomed because they're not going to be able to get the credits to graduate. I mean, that to me is the real problem. If it's those
Not
kids.
all of them. I don't know all of the children's names from this particular data set, but the ones that I do know, and thinking about the kids that we've been working with this year to keep them in, it's a pretty big range of somebody who maybe arrived as a freshman and then kids that have been in our district since elementary school. So I'm not sure, without having that specificity in front of me, I don't know if I can answer it fully, but from what I've witnessed so far, it seems to be a range.
No questions, thank you.
Bruna?
No questions, thank you.
I don't have any questions, but thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.
Okay, moving along, we invite Mellisa Devitt to come up to do the MCAS Civics pilot, along with Dan Farrell.
You don't have to go. Dan's just here for moral support.
I feel supported.
So this year we are engaging in the civics field test. Next year the test will be live. So the purpose of the test is to try out new questions, and it's really important that everybody is participating in this because it gives us a valid and reliable bank of test questions to be using. The components of the exam are there is a state level performance task and an end of the year course test. And this is the breakdown of the test design. It's just allowing the students to use their civics content knowledge and to explain, describe, support claims, and analyze the sources. So this slide just outlines the state level performance tasks, and topic 6 is the one that we will get assigned to at Nantucket. So this is the structure of Massachusetts state and local government. That's the topic that the questions will be surrounded around. And the end of the course test is just made up of multiple choice. There'll be 36 operational points, and there will be a matrix totaling 6 points, and it'll take about 50 to 60 minutes. To prepare the students for this test, there will be a local level performance task. These are optional, but it's recommended that they do it to be able to take the test at the end. And each task covers one of the 7 topics that we just went through, and they include group work and discussions about the different topics for civics. So this slide is just a timeline of what has been happening on the continuum for civics. So in the 18-19 school year, the assessment was developed and the committee was recruited. 1920, they had a tryout, which was voluntary. 2021 was the pilot. 2021-22 was another pilot, both voluntary. And then 22-23, they piloted the end of the course test. 23-24 now is our civics field test, and then 24-25 is the operational test. So the next steps really to get in line with Massachusetts, and the CPS teachers are amazing and really have stepped up to take this on. So grades 6 and 7 will be going through the investigating history. We did get approved for the investigating history grant. So each of the teachers in 6th and 7th grade will do 2 units investigating history, which is teacher created units that are Massachusetts based. And then Dan is going to be doing, and looking at him now, the Democratic Knowledge Project. He's kind of going to be the lone wolf in 8th grade that's going to take this on. We will be applying for that grant also. This is just for 8th grade, and it's pretty competitive, and it's about civics engagement in the democracy curriculum. This is a year-long project, and it prioritizes both civics and skills. Any questions?
Tim?
I think it's important that kids understand how things work in government. And I think the level of ignorance in the general population is astounding. So I think it's very important. I mean, this used to be a very, very important course, and it sort of fell by the wayside. But it'd be interesting to see how it goes.
Yeah, I've been in Dan's class and all the classes in CPS, and they do a very dynamic job in the area of history and social studies. And especially in Dan's class, when they do bring all these concepts together, it's pretty amazing to watch them. So I'm confident that they'll do a great job with this. It'll be a change, but everybody really wants it, so it's not a heavy lift.
I'm going to piggyback to his comment. How did you pick this topic? Or this
We didn't. We got assigned.
You got assigned
Yeah,
to it. And
yeah.
like he said, this is very important, especially living in a small
Yeah.
community. Everything kind of revolves
Absolutely.
about local government.
In the future, they'll have to do all the topics,
Yes.
you know. But they just
I
chose
wish
one.
they taught this
Yes.
for grown-ups.
Yes, that is true.
Yes.
Yeah. Anything to add, Mike or Dan? Anything I missed?
Just really excited about making some changes in resources. We've had TCI in place, and this is a better resource. And at another time, I can talk about the applied learning visits that Mandy Bardsley, Melissa Devitt, and I have done. We've been to Randolph, Dorchester, and Roxbury, and we're headed to DC on April 1st and 2nd. And one of the things was, to be eligible for this, you had to have high quality resources in place. And we had that through Project Lead the Way, Open SciEd, Illustrative Math. This checks another box. All those schools have the Democratic Knowledge Project, and what I saw back in Randolph was pretty cool.
It's pretty amazing.
So I'm pretty excited about it.
And Mike will have a completely fluid building after we adopt all of this, because it will be applied learning in all subject areas. So it's exciting.
Yeah, that's really great. Bruna?
It was great.
All right.
I wish I took that.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks,
That's
everyone.
great, thank you. Wish you the best.
If I may make a comment.
Yes, please.
One of the concerns that people do have is another test, because this is an additional test to our ELA, math, and science. So there will be more testing. However, the Department of Education has vowed to make adjustments to the other tests, particularly ELA, because it tends to be the longest and most draining, with 2 essays, especially at the 10th grade level. So they're starting to make some changes and to see the importance of abbreviating but making quality test questions and test assessments. So I think this is wise too, because as Dr. Lepre said, the lack of knowledge is pretty staggering. So it makes sense, and I'm just glad to have the right people in the right place to really push our students forward in some of these topics. So thank you, Dan. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Mike, for all of that.
And clearly the enthusiasm coming from the leadership is really so necessary for the kids to get engaged. So thank you. It's wonderful. We can have them do citizen tests and stuff and go through that. Okay, moving on to committee discussions and votes to be taken. We'll read this in its entirety for the purpose of the minutes. I'd like a vote to recommend $40,778,395 for the fiscal year 2025 Nantucket Education Public Appropriation, Article 8 of the 2024 Annual Town Meeting of Taxpayers. The public school total budget appropriation is recommended at $40,178,395, which $33,345,870 for payroll, and $6,832,525 for operating expenses, and an additional $600,000 community school appropriation for payroll, and to authorize use of school department accounts as listed. May I have an approval?
So move.
May I have a
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. May I have an approval for the donation from Nalu for 200,000, 200,000, I'm going, 2 million, $200 to CPS News.
So move.
Second.
All in favour?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. May I have an approval for the Nantucket High School Spanish and Diversity Club field trip to New York City during May 9th through the 12th of 2024?
So moved.
Second.
All in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Vote to approve the January 23rd school committee minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
An approval for the February 6th, 2024 public hearing minutes.
Moved.
Second.
All in favour?
Aye.
Aye. An approval for the February 6th school committee minutes.
Move approve.
Second.
All in favour?
Aye.
Aye. An approval of the February 20th, 2024 school committee minutes.
Move approve.
Second.
Aye. All in favour?
Aye.
For the transfer and invoices. May I have approval?
Move approve.
Second.
All in favour?
Aye.
Thank you. A little tongue-tied there. All right, subcommittee work groups. Any meetings?
I can speak to a couple of things.
Okay.
If that's okay, on behalf of
Yes.
school committee members who may not be here. Well, first of all, the TA negotiations have been concluded, and we have reached a tentative agreement. I don't know at this point from the union president whether or not that has been voted on, but I will know soon. She is currently out unwell, but we will try to get that done as soon as possible. And we will be starting negotiations for our custodians and grounds unit. So I will be looking for a representative. Excellent, thank you. And I'll let you know when that will get started. So we also have a policy subcommittee meeting that will be happening next week. I believe it's Monday, am I right? At 1 p.m. Our policy subcommittee is not here, but we will continue to move through the policies and make updates. And sadly, we did lose one of the consultants to our DEI subcommittee as Dr. Kamal McCarthy has resigned and is no longer the DEI town director. So, but we still need to probably come together and kind of regroup and think what direction we want to head in. So, that's it.
Thank you. Do you have any
No
updates on?
updates from you.
The lunch program meeting as you know, it was scheduled during the school break, so we had to reschedule, and there was a doodle that went out, and I'm just waiting to get confirmation on the date, but it's coming soon. And then after that, we will make a plan to, I think the idea we made at the last meeting was to go to separate schools and have lunch. So,
Please, that would be
Yeah.
great. Happy to help.
Have we ever thought of weighing the food that's tossed?
have we ever thought of it or talked about it? No, I
Well,
think
we've
we've
talked
talked
about
we've
it.
talked about it, certainly of how much food is wasted.
If I may, it might be a little challenging to weigh it because so much of it goes into the trash bin, so we don't know.
No, but you weigh the trash bin.
You then get other trash that's not necessarily school lunch trash, but we could try and see.
I mean, I'm just curious because, I mean, they're the ultimate consumers, and if we're not serving them what they want to eat, it's,
I think the challenge goes back to the required serving. We have to serve certain parts as part of the free lunch program. So even if students will not eat a certain thing, they have to be given that thing. And that's the frustrating part is as a state requirement, we have to give it even if they don't eat it. It was different when we were not part of the free lunch program because students could choose a la carte and we were expected to offer but not give, and now we are giving and we have to give. So that's part of the problem. Certainly an area that I think the state needs to investigate a little bit on. I don't know, it might be worthwhile reaching out and finding out, maybe our wellness committee has done a little bit of work on that, and maybe they have some news from the state around whether the free lunch program will continue and what the expectations and parameters are. But that's one of the issues that's really, that I struggle with, is that we don't, that we are expected to give as part of a balanced meal, and students just throw away what they don't want.
Here's a good civics discussion.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they do a project at the end of the year focused on an issue. It could be, we tend to focus on local issues or a school issue, so yeah, it's worth mentioning.
I also, and I think we brought this up at another meeting, it would be, I think, good information to have how many adults are eating lunch in the buildings. I mean, eating the school lunches, not eating lunch per se. How many staff members are eating the lunch that we serve our students? And maybe we could just do a very easy survey of a yes or a no, or sometimes. Because I think that will probably speak volumes, is my hunch, but I might be wrong. But I think in order to do the work that we're intending to do for our students, that's information that we should know.
I would be happy to put together a survey and send it out to the district.
That would be great.
Sure.
Thank you, Beth. I think that's it as far as our subcommittee. Bruna, you are on.
I have some topics. The varsity basketball game and the hockey tomorrow. The 8th grade parent night is now on March 13th at 6 p.m. The musical is next week, the 14th, 15th, and 16th. It's at 6 p.m. the first 2 days, and then at 2 p.m. I believe on Saturday. Yeah, and then the ELA MCAS is coming up this month, and spring sports tryout are on the end of the month.
The end of the month.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Thank you. All right. On our next agenda, which is the workshop meeting that we have, we will have an update. No, I'm sorry. So the workshop meeting is set. Is it 6 o'clock, correct?
5 p.m.
5
actually.
p.m.,
5
okay.
p.m. and we will be focusing on school committee self-evaluation
Mhm.
and an update on superintendent goals.
Great. Super. Are we also just using the opportunity for the policy of public comment as well?
Oh goodness,
'Cause we were gonna do
said
that
we
in
would
the
also do
workshop.
that, so certainly we can add that into
Okay.
the workshop. Yes,
Thank you. I just don't want to forget that,
thank you.
so that we can
Very
put
much.
that to bed. And then March 19th, we'll have an update on student service support, special education update, the ACK-SEPAC.
That is the new name for SNAC. So
Ah.
ACK or
Thank you.
ACK-SEPAC. SEPAC is student is special education parent advisory council. Yes.
Oh, great. And then we will have the school committee self-evaluations, hoping that everybody has given in their school committee evaluations. And if not, shame on anybody that has not. All right, so thank you, so that Katie can compile that in time for us to meet next week. Any other comments? No? All right, at this point, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks. I could say that because I haven't put my name. I'm not ribbing anyone else. Okay. It's like,
I didn't say this now, but I'm wondering if we also want to include just a quick review